Right then, so ethics. Fun conversation, lots of vibrant opportunities to think about challenges. We have a whole discussion about why we should exist. I'm just going to take it as given that you guys can recognize that ethics is an important piece of the conversation around data and big, large-scale data. To that point, part of what we would like to do is to build on some of the prior work that's already been done, thinking about ethics in research. So for example, the Association of Internet Researchers produced one of the early guidelines for academic researchers to think about how you engage with people who are residing in some fashion or other on the internet. How do you do ethical research in those kinds of contexts? Currently, the Data and Society has an NSF-funded council on big data ethics in society. They, like some of the other workshops that exist on institutional ethical research, are thinking, I was going to use the word egg-headed, but I was told I shouldn't use that term, are thinking sort of loftily about the ethical issues of big data, as well as some of the legal issues. But I think there is a really important place that we can intersect to think about how we apply those large, grand thou shalt nots or thou shalts to practical real-world challenges that organizations presently face in thinking about data sharing or the collection and aggregation and dissemination of the work. So the efforts that this spoke, the ethics and policy can take that other collaborations can't, is, again, thinking about the ethical considerations around data generally currently are quite haphazard. So when you think about institutions, some have very clear ethical guidelines, others don't have anything. So it's quite haphazard across industry, across government, even in higher education or with nonprofit organizations. So there's opportunity there. But around big data, there really are no policies. There are not clear ethical guidelines or how we go about getting to ethical guidelines that can move across industries, across use cases, and that's what we think we can contribute. So to that end, unique position to bring together these multiple interest groups. I think the hub and the spoke are uniquely situated to bring those different stakeholders together and have those conversations. In terms of workshops, this, of course, these few bullets don't reflect the magnitude of the conversation that we had, which was quite rich. But one is to lean on you guys. You all involved in the spokes, the other spokes, are thinking about test cases. You have test cases in mind. We actually broke at 2 o'clock and we infiltrated your other spokes. So you might have seen representatives from ethics and policy sort of listening in, or in most cases actually giving you some insight of what we're thinking about. But one thought is to actually have a workshop that brings together representatives from the other spokes and test cases, industry, government, people that are currently struggling with these issues, so that we can begin to generate test cases. And out of those test cases, then we can start thinking about eventually getting to this impact, which I'll talk about in a second. And then the other is we as a group, the composition of our group is really focused around issues of human subject-generated data. In industry, so with Facebook, right? Facebook is collecting human subjects data. It's data about people, but they don't think of it as human subjects research, and they're not committed, they're not required to follow the rules of the common rule, like researchers are, but it still implicates ethical considerations. And so to be able to spend some time thinking about that is something we would like to do. And then in terms of an impact, I think for us being able to begin to generate what we're calling guidelines for guidelines, because a specific set of policies that might work in one, say in finance, might not work in energy or might not work with cities. And so thinking about how you move past that or beyond that to a meta level is part of what we'd like to get to do. So in terms of partnerships, we want to partner with other spokes. We are the only ethics-focused spoke in any of the hubs. So we have an opportunity as well to reach out to the other hubs. We also, I think it goes without saying, it's part of the mandate to reach out to industry and organizations to generate test cases and then to give back to those organizations in terms of best practices that we generate collaboratively with them. Finally, this is what we need from the hub. So we need coordination, right? I think we already know that's something and it's coming. We need to engage the spokes. We need the hub to engage the spokes to cooperate and to coordinate. I expect you all are going to be enthusiastic, and when we say, hey, come, let's do a workshop together, you'll all say yes. But you might not. And so we need a little help potentially from the hub to make that happen, helping us identify collaborative partners. I mean, we're thinking about some. You might know from the others that there are places. Incentives to continue involvement by people in the spokes. One of the things we saw is that in some of the spokes, there's actually been a fair amount of turnover in the people currently involved from, say, 6 months ago. In 6 months, it might also be a different group of people or nobody. That worries me a little bit. Okay, oh, you can skip that one. We didn't. It was just us, so that was easy. We didn't have to have that fight. Thanks.